What if I told you that a single, simple change to your diet could radically reduce your risk of cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and obesity? And what if I told you that this change goes against almost everything we've been taught about healthy eating? We live in a world of nutritional confusion. One day, fat is the enemy. The next, it's carbohydrates. We're told to eat more protein for strength, more milk for our bones. But what if the very foods we believe are essential are in fact the primary drivers of our most feared chronic diseases? This isn't just a provocative question. It's the central, explosive conclusion of one of the most significant nutritional investigations ever undertaken. The book, The China Study, isn't just another diet fad. It's the culmination of a decades-long journey by Dr. Colin Campbell, a respected nutritional biochemist from Cornell University. His work began not with a bias against any food group, but with a mission to solve malnutrition in developing countries. The plan was to find the best ways to get more high-quality, specifically animal protein, to children. But what he discovered sent his career and our understanding of nutrition in a completely unexpected direction. It all started with a startling observation in the Philippines. Dr. Campbell noticed that the children from the wealthiest families, the ones who were eating the most animal protein, were the ones most likely to get liver cancer, a disease typically seen in adults. This seemed completely backwards. At the same time, he came across a research paper from India that showed something mind-boggling in a laboratory setting. Rats were exposed to a potent carcinogen called aflatoxin. Then they were split into two groups. One group was fed a diet containing 20% protein, from casein, the main protein in milk. The other group was fed a diet with only 5% casein. The results were stunning. Every single rat on the 20% protein diet showed signs of liver cancer, and not a single rat on the 5% casein diet did. Zero. This led to Dr. Campbell's own series of experiments, which became the foundation of the book's argument. In his labs, they could literally turn cancer growth on and off like a light switch simply by adjusting the level of animal protein in the rats' diets. When they fed the rats 20% casein, tumors grew. When they switched the same rats to a 5% casein diet, the tumors would shrink. They could switch back and forth, and the cancer growth would respond accordingly. It was a direct causal relationship. Even more shocking, when they swapped the animal protein for plant proteins like soy or wheat, even at the high 20% level, the cancer growth did not get switched on. The evidence seemed to pointedly suggest that animal protein, specifically casein, was a powerful promoter of cancer. Now, you might be thinking, that's just rats in a lab. What does that have to do with me? That's the exact question Dr. Campbell asked, and it led to the monumental project that gives the book its name, The China Study. In the 1980s, Dr. Campbell and his team partnered with researchers from Oxford University and the Chinese Academy of Preventive Medicine. They embarked on what the New York Times would call the Grand Prix of epidemiology. They went to rural China, which at the time was like a living laboratory. They had huge populations that had lived for generations in the same place, eating the same traditional diets, which were often very different from one county to the next. The team studied 6,500 people across 65 different counties in China, collecting hundreds of data points on their diet, lifestyle, and disease rates. They looked at everything. And when they analyzed the mountains of data, one clear, powerful pattern emerged. In the regions where people ate the most animal-based foods, the rates of Western diseases, heart disease, diabetes, and cancer, were the highest. In the regions where people ate a diet centered on whole plant foods, these diseases were virtually non-existent. Some areas had almost no recorded cases of heart disease. Think about that. In America, it's our #1 killer. There, in parts of rural China, it was practically a foreign concept. The data showed that as the percentage of animal protein in the diet increased, even by small amounts, So did cholesterol levels, and so did the incidence of chronic disease. The lab findings in rats were being mirrored in this massive human population. This leads to the book's second major takeaway, which challenges the very way we think about nutrition. We've been trained in a mindset called reductionism. We think about food in terms of its individual components. This much protein, that much calcium, this much vitamin C. We try to isolate the magic bullet nutrient. But Dr. Campbell argues this is a dangerous mistake. Food is not a collection of individual chemicals. It's a symphony. Thousands of compounds in a single apple work together in complex ways that we are only just beginning to understand. He provides a powerful example to illustrate this point. Scientists observed that people who ate lots of fruits and vegetables, like carrots, had lower rates of lung cancer. Carrots are rich in a nutrient called beta-carotene. So, the reductionist thinking was, great! Beta-carotene prevents cancer. Let's just give people beta-carotene pills. They ran large-scale, expensive clinical trials to test this. The results were a disaster. The group taking the beta-carotene supplements actually had a higher risk of developing lung cancer. The protective effect wasn't from the isolated beta-carotene. It was from the whole carrot, with its complex web of fiber, vitamins, minerals, and thousands of other phytonutrients, all working in harmony. The book argues that the benefits of a healthy diet come from eating whole foods, primarily plants, not trying to pick and choose single nutrients. This is why a whole food, plant-based diet is so powerful. It delivers the entire symphony, not just one instrument. So, if this evidence is so compelling, why isn't it on the front page of every newspaper? Why doesn't your doctor tell you to stop eating meat and dairy? The book dedicates its final section to answering this question, and the answer is unsettling. It points to a systemic problem. Powerful and wealthy industries, like the meat, dairy, and egg industries, have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo. They fund their own research, which often creates confusion and doubt. They have enormous lobbying power that influences government dietary guidelines. Medical schools provide very little nutritional training, and what they do provide is often shaped by these same established interests. It's not necessarily a conscious conspiracy, but a system designed to protect itself. The simple, revolutionary message that the healthiest diet is also the cheapest and most accessible, whole plant-based foods, gets drowned out by marketing, politics, and a medical system that's better at prescribing pills than preventing disease through food. So, what do we do with all this? The book's ultimate message isn't about rigid dogma or becoming a perfect vegan overnight. It's about empowerment. It's about realizing that we have more control over our health than we've been led to believe. The actionable takeaway isn't to purge your kitchen and live on kale. It's to start shifting the balance. Think about your plate. Dr. Campbell suggests aiming for a diet that is composed of whole, unprocessed plant foods. Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds. The goal is to move towards this ideal, not to achieve perfection immediately. Maybe you could start with one plant-based day a week, or perhaps swap the cow's milk in your coffee for oat or soy milk. Try a bean burrito instead of a beef burrito. Every small step you take to replace animal products with whole plant foods is a step towards reducing your risk for chronic disease. The China study leaves you with a final, profound question to ponder. We spend billions on a healthcare system that largely manages diseases after they appear. We search for miracle drugs and genetic solutions. But what if the most powerful tool for long-term health isn't found in a pharmacy or a high-tech lab, but in the produce aisle of your local grocery store? What if the key to a longer, healthier life has been on our plates all along, just waiting for us to see it?